This episode is sponsored by UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics and the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program. UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics and the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program are proud to support youth sports across our region and proud to sponsor the 2022 High School Football Preview on the Altoona Mirror YouTube channel. To learn more about their board-certified orthopedic surgeons, their specially trained concussion management experts, and the wide range of orthopedic conditions they treat, or to schedule an appointment in one of their facilities in Hollidaysburg, Ebensburg, or Bedford, visit upmcaltoona.com/ortho or call 814-889-3600. That's 814-889-3600.
Died. I go, no way, Michael Jackson. And then the waiter went, Michael Jackson died. And then it was just like the whole thing spreading. My sons are like 9 years old. They're like, who's Michael Jackson?
Didn't Farrah Fawcett die that same day?
Yeah,
that I do not.
I think it was like the same week, but yeah. I do remember there was there was a South Park about that. About a bunch of celebrities died within the same month or something. Right.
I just remember there was a Michael Jackson who was a wide receiver for the Seahawks when I was growing up. That's the Michael Jackson. This is all. Oh, you got to get that on. Hopefully that'll. Having too much fun. Is it legal to have this much fun? Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Week 11 of the High School Football Preview Show on YouTube, on Mirror TV. This is the playoff edition, so you'll notice there's a different aura in the room right now. Yeah, I think we all actually look pretty dressed up nice, too.
Certainly.
You never see me this nice with a sweatshirt
Yeah.
on. Usually I have T-shirts on.
Which one was Jim Moore?
I'm not sure, but you can tell Mike and I must be going somewhere because of the way we're dressed. Wink, wink. Anyways, I'm joined again by our high school football guys here, Michael Boydum, Andrew Stein, who at one point his father wanted to name him Frank so he could have been called Franklin Stein. But I'm Scott Franco, your host. We are joined by our producer-director, Dan Eisenberg, behind the camera. And right off the bat, we're going to get to Bedford. This is the 2A semifinals, District 5A playoffs. Bedford, number 3 seed at Berlin, Brothersvalley, 2 seed. Didn't Berlin just get done killing somebody over the weekend? That's when I looked down at this, I thought, I just saw that in the mirror Monday morning, and I just thought, I can't imagine Bedford's thrilled that they got Berlin in the first.
Well, I don't know if killing is the politically correct way of saying it, but Berlin just hammered Penn's Manor 35-0 in the Appalachian Bowl, and they pretty much
the number 1 seed in district.
And they've pretty much done that to everybody this year. In fact, their first 7 games this year were shutouts. They've only allowed 27 points the whole season, and it looked like from reading the BG Bedford story that Kevin Ressler got banged up for Bedford,
quarterback for Bedford,
and that could be a big loss for them. This is such a tough bracket. Westinghouse is really good, the number 1 seed, and Bedford here at the number 3 seed. They might be as good as anybody around, but they're going to have to figure out a way to score points against this Berlin team who has just a juggernaut for a defense.
And they're not really that big, they're just good.
They're very
good. If you're a high school kid and you find out your starting quarterback isn't playing in your first round, How do you think high school kids are going to respond?
It's hard. I know that I'm sure they probably got a lot on their minds this week. I think the best way to prepare is just do what you've been doing all season. I mean, Bedford, like Mike said, they're probably as good as anybody around here, and that's as tough of a draw as you can possibly ask for.
And then the other is Saturday night, then the Chestnut Ridge Westinghouse game.
Yeah, they play on Friday as well.
They play Friday.
And they have to play against Westinghouse, and that is going to be extremely hard because I talked with Gary Black, and he had looked at some of their tape. They actually had a hype video out, and wow, they look a lot more impressive than the Westinghouse team from 5 years ago, where we'd be like, oh yeah, well they're a Pittsburgh City team.
They'd be like 4-5 and
Right.
playing in the district championship.
This team is a legit powerhouse team. So this is going to be a really tough bracket, the 5-8 2A one.
So bad. Our next game is, and in fact, this is a game that our director, Dan Eisenberg, and I are going to have to arm wrestle for to see who gets to cover this game Friday night. Mifflin County, the number 3 seed, at Altoona, the number 2 seed, Friday night, District 6, Class 6A semifinals. First thing I ask you is, Altoona crushed them the first time. I got to think, Vince Niemeyer's biggest job this week is to not let them take that game lightly, just because they won 38-0 the first time.
Yeah, he said they're completely different teams this time around. Now, Mifflin County is trying to win its 7th game for only the 2nd time in school history. And I got an email from Dave Berman today. You know him.
Oh, big radio guy from Mifflin County, yep.
He's saying that it's been years since they've beaten a 6A opponent, and because they do have these victories, but they're not against 6A teams because they play in a lower level, the mid-pen, than Altoona does. This would be a monumental win for Mifflin County. Meanwhile, you got Altoona, who is like, hey, we already pounded this team, and they're thinking it would be a monumental win if we beat State College. So you got to really guard against looking ahead and thinking, well, we got State College next week. We don't really have to worry about this game. The one thing I think Altoona has in its favor is this is the last time these kids will be playing at Mansion Park, and these seniors, who are a pretty talented class, can go out with a victory in their last game in the Mansion Park.
Now, does it worry you that Altoona is going into the class? They've lost quite a few games here recently. Does that, if you're Mifflin County's coaching staff, you're kind of like thinking maybe we're catching them at the right time?
Yeah, and honestly, I think both of these teams, they had a pretty good start to the season. I think they were both 3-0 when they first met week 4, I believe it was. But yeah, I think Mifflin County's had a little bit of a roller coaster too in the last half of the season. So I mean, it could be kind of interesting. I'm thinking it might be a little bit closer this time around.
Our next game, speaking of close, it looks like on paper it could be the Class 3A semifinals, Central, the 3rd seed, at Tyrone, the 2 seed. Winner gets Cambria the following week. And to give you a little inside info on this, the football coach at Tyrone, who happens to be related to me, he's also a Green Bay Packer fan. Sunday night, I called him at halftime to see how he's handling his Packers getting, whooped, and he's like, I'm not even watching the game. He was watching his 3rd film of Central of the day. That's how focused he was. I don't even think he had time to enjoy Notre Dame knocking off Syracuse on Saturday. So
Nice one for him.
I know how much film he's watching. How much film can one watch of Jeff Honestein before you can figure out a way how to slow him down or stop him?
Well, Tyrone's had plenty of time to watch that film since they didn't play last week. They had to forfeit against St. Mary's, and that locked up this being at Tyrone. Now, this is the first time they've played each other since the 2020 season because they didn't play last year. Tyrone lost in the semifinals to Cambria. So next year, they'll start their rivalry again since they'll both be in the Laurel Highlands Conference. But one thing I'd be concerned about if I was Tyrone was how well Hollidaysburg passed against them in the second half of that game. You're seeing Caden Delatre just run down the field for touchdown after touchdown. That's what Central can do to you. So you got to be a lot more disciplined in your pass defense against Central than they were in the second half of that Hollidaysburg game. But in the first half, Tyrone's up 35-0. So it depends on what Tyrone team are we going to see.
And with Hollidaysburg, their quarterback, Tucker Rossman, who had a really nice second half, Tucker's never a threat to run. So Tyrone never had to worry about that.
Yeah.
Jeff Honestein, you got to worry about 8,000 things when he's playing quarterback. And I got to think I don't think that scares the Tyrone kids, but that should concern the Tyrone defensive coach.
I'm sure it does. And the one thing we have to remember is, I mean, Jeff Hohenstein is not a stranger to those guys. I mean, they've been playing Hohenstein for how many years? A couple years now. Of course, they didn't last year, but yeah, it's going to be concerning for sure. And I'd like to think this is going to be a pretty close game, but hey, I mean, maybe the fact that it's in Tyrone, maybe that helps out Tyrone a little bit.
And when they played in the championship game in District 6 a couple years ago,
Yep.
that was a low-scoring game in which Hohenstein got hurt. The backup quarterback came in, and they kicked a field goal to beat Tyrone. That was Central's lowest output of the season, and this game's going to be played on grass and not turf like that. But Tyrone has held Hohenstein before, and Hohenstein had some pretty good weapons that year. But now that was a sophomore Jeff Hohenstein. This is a senior Jeff Hohenstein, and you got to think he's learned every year.
Yeah.
But
That backup quarterback, Ryan Doherty's still on the team.
still on the team. I wanted to go to that game, but I couldn't because it's being played on a Friday. But that's all right. I digress. We're going to go to our next game. This one again, I'm looking at it on paper. Portage, the number 5 seed at Juniata Valley, the 4. District 6 Class 1A quarterfinals. These two teams go into this game kind of, Juniata Valley's going off a win. Portage just kind of stumbled here.
Well, that was a big win by Juniata Valley over Mount Union to come back and rally and win in the fourth quarter, because that's what got them this home game. If not, they'd probably be at Portage.
They've already played a playoff game kind of.
So this is they're at home because they came back and won that game. Mount Union's a solid team.
Yes.
They're in the 2A playoffs, and I just feel like that was a big moment for them, because Juniata Valley's coming off of getting really beaten badly by Winburn, and you don't want that taste in your mouth. And then you got held to 3 points against Northern Bedford, and then you have this big win against Mount Union. Now Portage, they are coming off a 31-0 loss to Winburn. So both of these teams have gotten beaten pretty badly by Winburn recently. But I think that it's going to be coming down to the running game, as we've talked in a few of these games. How long is this game going to last? This game, I can't see a lot of passes being thrown, but we do know one thing: if there is a pass thrown to Bodie Leo, it will probably be for a touchdown.
He just makes touchdown receptions. I'm curious, the aspect of this Portage team. They're coming off of a loss like that, and then their first playoff game. How quickly do you have to, as a kid, have to forget about that? And how quickly do those coaches get in there and go, that game's over, forget about I can't imagine they even watch film of that game. They're just going to watch
Probably not.
Juniata Valley.
Yeah, I would think that the coaches just throw away the film, don't worry about it. And on the other end of the spectrum, Juniata Valley's coming off a big win, so
And they are watching that film, probably.
Probably, I would think so. So, yeah, very, very interesting matchup here, I think. And, I think this is going to be a close one, too.
There's going to be lots of green.
Yes, there is.
Our next game, Homer Center, the 6th seed at Cambria Heights, the number 3 seed, Class 1A quarterfinals. And we have to remind that back in August, a certain sports writer picked them to be the number 1. Thought they were going to be the team here. Cambria Heights still feeling pretty good about their mojo in this game.
I'll tell you what, I'm nervous about this game because I did pick Cambria Heights at the beginning. I am nervous because I don't know what the status of Ty Stockley is. He didn't play against Northern Bedford, but I could see, even if he was able to play, maybe them holding him out of that game because it wasn't going to affect their playoff seeding that much. They're either going to be the 2 or 3 either way. They're a different team when Ty Stockley's in the game. They were dominating Penn's Manor when he was in there. Now, I'm not criticizing anybody else on the team, and their backup quarterback, Weiland, he can throw the ball probably even better than Stockley. But Stockley just gives them that extra dimension of the running. And Homer Center, as Coach Lewis has reminded people, were picked by some people, not us, but were picked by some people to win the Heritage Conference. And that was when they beat them in the regular season. That was a big rallying cry for them. So they've already beaten them once, but that was with Ty Stockley, and I'm really hoping that they are at 100% going into this one.
And I got to think Coach Lewis is sitting on that information about whether he's going to play. I don't know who's writing our preview, but if we had an inside info up there like a Ray Eckenrode, who still lived up in Patton, because somebody knows whether that kid's playing, but you're not going to know until you go to that game Friday night. Our last game here, and I'm actually very interested in this because I'm curious to see how good Southern Huntingdon is. They are at Bishop Guilfoyle. Southern Huntingdon the 5 seed, Guilfoyle the 4 seed. That's a Saturday game at Mansion Park, District 6, Class 2A quarterfinals. And the big question on BG is going to be, and I'll let you.
Yeah, Carson Kiesewetter, when I talked to Coach Wheeler on Sunday, he told me that he's still day-to-day with this illness that he had, and obviously that changes BG's offense. Now, he argued they could have scored 28 points against Bedford. They were in the red zone and turned the ball over several times. Still, when you can have the defending Class 1A Player of the Year, or you don't have the Class 1A Player of the Year, that's a big difference. And we know Southern Huntingdon has their own dynamic quarterback in Nate Myers. So one interesting thing was I asked Coach Wheeler, do you think your team's better prepared to face a guy like Nate Myers because they've gone up against Kiesewetter in practice? And he said yes, along with the fact they've gone up against Garrett Harold, Jeff Hohenstein, guys who can also do that.
Same thing.
So where Nate Myers might be the only one in the ICC that's putting up that kind of dual threat, these Laurel Highlands teams have seen this.
And the Bishop Guilfoyle kid, Kissel, who's a sophomore, he threw 4 picks, and they were in that game. BG's defense, we had that on the radio in the air Friday night, and they were in that game. It just seems like that turnover. Yeah. If you're a senior offensive lineman on that team and your quarterback's a 10th grader, I mean, how do you keep a high school kid from going, oh my goodness, I mean, this shouldn't be this hard because Kiesewetter made everything so easy.
Yeah, we kind of had a similar situation my senior year. We had a sophomore quarterback, and you could tell he was definitely nervous about it. And I think he got thrown in the fire, but it'll definitely help him out down the road. If not this year, he's gonna have that experience.
And it's got to be good that they have it at home too.
Absolutely,
they're not going to Southern Huntingdon with a 10th grade quarterback. They're at home.
I am interested on both Homer Center and Southern Huntington's cases. How do you prepare for games like that when you're not sure with Stockley's status or Kiesewetter status? I'm sure BG probably feels good that they have an extra day to prepare. Hopefully Kiesewetter is going to be fine by then. So yeah, that's two interesting games. Now, how do you prepare for that?
We're going to go right to our fun portion of the show now. Mike's going to give us his stat, then Andy's going to give us his line, and then I got our cool name segment. But Michael, you go first.
All right. Well, my stat of the week this week is 0. 0 would be the amount of media that was in the press box at the Cumberland Valley High School Stadium for Altoona's regular season game last week. And Cumberland Valley is hosting the state championships. So hopefully they make some adjustments before that so that some people, maybe TV stations like PCN, can actually cover the game for the state championship.
I'm curious, we were worried that they were going to come in and tell us we had too many people in this conference room and make one of us leave. But we're lucky that we're not in Cumberland Valley's radius.
There's 4 of us. How would we do this in Cumberland Valley?
If we did, if we took this on location, I wonder.
Gosh.
I would like to think, even in the old Claysburg Kimmel press box, which I think Michael's been in. I don't know if Andy's ever been in. I've been in it. And Andy and I are big dudes. Michael's not. Michael could fit in there comfortably. Andy and I probably would have to take one at a time going through the door.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm not sure if both of you guys could fit in there at the same time.
You know what this means? We got to take this show on the road for the state championships.
Oh, wow. Let's wait. We might be getting ready for basketball and wrestling. What is our Stein's line this week,
Okay.
Andrew?
Here we go with Stein's line.
It's ahead! Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps.
You know what? I almost picked Hollidaysburg this week. Hollidaysburg, I know it was a tough season for you guys, but that was pretty cool that you guys got that win the last game of the year. Got your second win. I know that's tough, but that was pretty cool to see you guys get that win over DuBois last week. But my offensive line of the week is Bedford. I know you guys got a tough assignment this week. That's not going to be easy, but you did beat BG this week or on Friday night, 18-7, 220 rushing yards for you guys. The left tackle is Jacob Steyer. The left guard is Tyler Zuck. Center is Dom Whetstone. The right guard is Parker Sigler. Right tackle Trent Fickner, and the tight end is Sam Shepard. Good job in the playoffs, or good luck in the playoffs. Sorry.
And you have to be old enough to remember Sam Shepard is an actor and a playwright.
And
And
Tyler Zuck won our pre-season Blitz drawing to get a free Blitz magazine.
And Bedford getting lots of love here.
I wanna know what's the name of the game.
I'm reaching out on my cool name segment. We're gonna do some playoff teams because we kind of used up all of our names locally. From Richland, who doesn't play anybody in our area this week. Did you know that, Michael? Did you know that? Richland. Yeah. Roadhouse. That's for Family Guy people. Wait, we can turn around so we can see. Anyways, from Richland, sophomore tight end linebacker Brock Batch. Brock Batch, if you know me and you watch the show.
Charlie's kid.
I love. He has an E at the end of it. Oh. But I love alliteration. Then this next name is just a cool name. I've never seen Penns Manor or covered Penns Manor. This kid is a junior fullback linebacker. His name is Dallas Leisure.
Leisure. Okay.
Dallas
I like that.
Leisure, but not like Leisure Suit, I don't believe. But Dallas, like Dallas, Texas, where the home of the Texas Rangers.
Absolutely.
And those Cowboys, which I really don't care for. But anyways, Brock Badge, Dallas Leisure. That's going to do it for this week's edition. I wish we could have gone longer. It didn't seem like we were really here that long, guys.
I know.
It just seems like some people just up and walk out of the room.
We in a hurry today or something? Jeez.
But for Andy Stein, for Peter Griffin, for Mike Boydum, how many people had a Peter? Actually, if I had a Peter Griffin doll, I would actually watch Family Guy with it. Maybe we'll get on Family
let's
Guy.
do that. Let's put
But for Dan Eisenberg behind the camera, my name is Scott Franco. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week on Week 12 of the High School Football Show.